Hi guys, welcome back to Dark Web. So in today's video I want to talk about Prototype 2, mainly about this whole rant of how Prototype 2 is worse than Prototype 1, but it's actually not true. Prototype 2, from a gameplay perspective, actually improved Prototype 1 a lot, and I will tell you why, with these following arguments. First, in Prototype 1, when you play with Zeus, you will notice that you can't really switch between melee weapons. I mean, if you press the left click and the right click, which is a feature found in Prototype 2, you also have tentacles, those James things, like when they stretch. I forgot their names. Anyway, you have that ability, but in Prototype 1 you don't have. It's actually just muscle mass. Yes. The second would be well, I know people complain about the lack of armor, but I think I know the reason why. You see, in the first game, the reason you had the armor is because it was offering you some sort of protection, but it was limiting your abilities to jump, to glide. So in the second game, you receive an upgrade which makes you immune to bullets. So I kinda understand why you don't have the armor anymore, because in the actual game in Prototype 1 it was used for survival purposes. So with the upgrade in Prototype 2 you no longer need the armor. Also, another aspect the Prototype 2 improved upon was the fact that in the first game you can't really do a lot of things with the claws. They are almost useless, only against fangs, and that's only when you impale the ground and you're susceptible to attacks from your enemies. But in Prototype 2 you have the ability to punch, so I think that's another improvement. Another improvement Prototype 2 has over 1 is disguise. For example, if you want to evade Blackwatch in Prototype 1, it's so hard and you can't really hide from the same. You have to destroy them. But in Prototype 2, if you put the disguise on and you find a safe place, the alert meter will suddenly disappear, and I think that makes a lot more sense. And another reason is that whether you like it or not, Prototype 2 did a better job at portraying you as the ultimate weapon, as the prototype, because you feel invincible, just like how Zeus in its cutscenes in Prototype 1 when it destroys everyone. But in Prototype 1, during the gameplay with Zeus, you kind of feel weak. So yes, Prototype 2 is really an evolution of Prototype 1, but I think the downplay was the character of Zeus or of Virus Alex Mercer, and I believe that's because Radical Entertainment weren't really keen on the story when they made the first game. I mean, yeah, they brought some concepts, but the story was not really their focus. It was just the gameplay, and of course that in the second game it was another theme. Another complaint was the lack of monsters in Prototype 2, that they don't spawn in free roam, but that's because in Prototype 1 the reason behind that was so you could get upgrades, because in Prototype 1 it's a lot harder to get upgrades compared in Prototype 2. Another upgrade Prototype 2 has over Prototype 1 is the fact that the side missions or those challenges in Prototype 1 are basic and plain. You just enter into a skull beam, something like that, and you get the challenge. But in Prototype 2 you get to know other characters, you interact with the environment, you fly helicopters. So yes, it's a massive improvement from the first game, and you also have a purpose for your stealth, because in the first game you aren't really forced to use it, but in the second game, yes, there are missions where you are really required to use the stealth option. And I also heard about people complaining that there is no wall crawling, but to be honest, I never saw the purpose of the wall crawling in Prototype 1. Other improvements people failed to notice was the fact that in the second game you can actually weaponize yourself with turrets or cannons. For example, you can also instantly destroy them if you want, a feature that was never in Prototype 1 at all, and I was actually kinda expecting that. Also in the second game, if you grab innocent people, you can also put them down if you want, but in the first game you can't actually do that. So it's another aspect Prototype 2 improved. Also the visuals or the aesthetics of the Black Light Virus in Prototype 2 is more appealing, at least to me, because in Prototype 2 it looks more biologic, if that's a word, while in the first game, Zeus looks, its arms look more like, I don't know, artificial or technological. That's also a plus for me in Prototype 2, because those red arms really look biological, like it's not really a metal or something. So yeah, that's another aspect for me of what Prototype 2 improved upon. Okay, anyways, guys, this was my video for today. Might be pissing off many Prototype fans full of Zeus, but I think that Prototype 2 has more pros than cons. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Sure, I may not like the story a lot because it's contradicting a lot of the first game, but from a gameplay perspective, it actually really did a great job.